little Amanda. She was so hot.
Annabelle.
The movie starts with a young girl named Amanda being kidnapped. The media covers the story, and Amanda's aunt, Beatrice, pleads for the child's return. She says they won't involve the police if Amanda is brought back safely. Patrick, a private detective, and his girlfriend Angie, who helps him with his work, see this news. Later, Beatrice and her husband, Lionel, visit Patrick's house. They ask for his help to find Amanda because Patrick knows many people in their neighborhood. Beatrice explains that Amanda's mother, Helen, had gone to visit a friend, Dodie, and when she returned, Amanda was missing. Lionel adds that Helen is his sister. Their father had bought a house for both of them, where Lionel and Beatrice live upstairs, while Helen and Amanda live downstairs. At first, Angie doesn't want to take the case, but Patrick convinces her to check it out. They visit Helen's house and tell her that Beatrice hired them to find Amanda. Helen, however, doesn't give clear answers. Beatrice reveals that Helen is heavily addicted to drugs. Patrick and Angie inspect Amanda's room, and soon, police officer Jack Doyle arrives. Jack explains that if a child isn't found within 3 days, the chances of finding them alive drop significantly. He also mentions that 2 officers, Remy and Nick, are already working on the case. Patrick and Angie head to a bar Helen often visited. There, Patrick meets his old friend Steve. Steve tells them Helen is a serious drug addict who used to visit the bar 5 times a week, sometimes even bringing Amanda along. He also reveals that on the day Amanda went missing, Helen was there with another drug addict named Skinny Ray. Later, Patrick and Angie meet detectives Remy and Nick. Remy shows them photos of 3 criminals, Corwin, Lon, and Rubetta, who might be involved in Amanda's kidnapping. Patrick points out that Helen was with Skinny Ray the day Amanda disappeared and questions why Ray isn't being treated as a suspect. Following this lead, Remy, Nick, Patrick, and Angie head to Helen's house. Remy questions Helen about Skinny Ray. She reveals that Ray and she were involved in drug dealing and had stolen money from another dealer named Cheese. When they ask Helen about the stolen money, she claims Ray had it. They head to Ray's house, only to find him dead. Helen breaks down crying when she sees his body. Patrick presses her, and she admits the truth. Ray didn't have the money. Helen had hidden it in Ray's backyard. They dig up the hidden bag of money. Remy concludes that Cheese must have come looking for the money, and when he didn't find it, he killed Ray. He insists they keep this information secret. He suggests returning the money to Cheese to save Amanda. The group takes the money to meet Cheese. Patrick warns that Cheese might refuse to return Amanda if the police show up, so Patrick and Angie decide to go alone to negotiate. At the meeting, Patrick and Angie tell Cheese that Remy and Nick have the stolen money. Patrick asks Cheese to return Amanda in exchange. However, Cheese becomes angry, claiming he doesn't involve kids in his business. With no progress, Patrick and Angie return home. Later, Remy calls Patrick and tells him that Cheese had called him, and the call was recorded by Jack Doyle. Remy adds that Cheese left instructions about the meeting location in Patrick's mailbox. Patrick and Angie retrieve the map from the mailbox and take it to the police station. Jack Doyle shares his personal story. He once had a young daughter who was kidnapped and murdered. He doesn't want the same fate for Amanda. Jack sends Patrick, Angie, Remy, and Nick to the location Cheese specified for the meeting. It's evening, and Remy and Nick are standing on one side while Patrick and Angie are on the other. Suddenly, the sound of gunshots echoes through the air. Patrick and Angie rush to where Remy and Nick are and see Cheese lying dead. They also hear the sound of someone falling into the water. Thinking Amanda might be in the water, Angie jumps in. However, Angie only finds Amanda's doll and dress, nothing else. Time passes, and after a few months, the news of another child, Johnny, being kidnapped appears on TV. One day, Patrick is at a bar when his friend Bubba shows up. Bubba secretly deals drugs and mentions that he's heading to Lon and Rubetta's house to make a delivery. He invites Patrick to join him. Patrick, still unsettled about Amanda's case, decides to go along, hoping for answers. At Lon and Rubetta's house, Patrick sees Corwin, who is holding the same locket Johnny had when he was kidnapped, a detail Patrick remembers from the news. Realizing this could be a lead, Patrick informs Remy and Nick. Remy and Nick grab their guns and head to Lon and Rubetta's house. A shootout breaks out between both sides, and Nick is shot in the throat. Patrick quickly calls 911 for help and then enters the house with his own gun. Inside, Patrick finds Lon dead, but Rubetta, who is large and aggressive, attacks him. Patrick manages to escape to an upstairs room where he sees Corwin. But when he enters the room, he discovers Johnny's dead body. This confirms that Corwin was the one who had kidnapped Johnny. When Patrick sees the condition of Johnny's dead body, he feels sick and vomits. Later, Nick is hospitalized, and Remy and Patrick talk outside. Remy, who is a bit drunk, admits that he already knew Skinny Ray. The next day, Nick passes away, and everyone attends his funeral. At the funeral, Remy tells Patrick not to take what he said the night before seriously. Later, Patrick meets another police officer and asks about Remy. The officer reveals that Jack Doyle had transferred Remy in the past. He also shares that it was discovered Ray and Helen had stolen Cheese's money, and Remy already knew about it. This makes Patrick suspicious, so he arranges to meet Lionel at a bar. Lionel reveals that he knew Remy. One night, he overheard Ray and Helen talking about stealing Cheese's money and shared this information with Remy. Since Remy and Nick were close to retirement, Remy devised a plan. He would kidnap Amanda and demand the stolen money from Helen. However, Beatrice ruined the plan by involving the media and police, and she also hired Patrick. Because of this, Remy and Nick had no choice but to join the search for Amanda alongside Patrick and Angie. When Remy finally got the money, he set up a fake meeting, claiming Cheese had called them. That night, he contacted Cheese to arrange the handoff, gave the money to one of Cheese's men, and then had Cheese killed. During the chaos, Amanda got frightened by the gunfire and jumped into the water. Lionel explains that his intention was only to teach Helen a lesson, not to harm Amanda. While Lionel is confessing all this, Remy, wearing a mask and carrying a gun, bursts into the bar. He knows Lionel is revealing everything to Patrick. The bar owner shoots Remy, injuring him, and Remy escapes. Patrick chases after him as Remy runs to the rooftop of a building. Patrick follows Remy to the rooftop and confronts him, asking why he kidnapped and killed the child. Remy, wounded and barely holding on, says that he loved children deeply. After saying this, Remy succumbs to his injuries and dies. The next day, Patrick is called to the police station for questioning. During the interrogation, Patrick reveals everything he knows, including the supposed recording of Cheese and Remy's conversation. However, the officer tells him there was no such recording. Realizing he had been misled, Patrick pieces everything together. Determined to uncover the truth, Patrick and Angie travel to Jack Doyle's house, located far from the city. To their shock, they find Amanda alive and well. Jack explains the entire story. Lionel and Remy had kidnapped Amanda, but they didn't harm her. Helen, Amanda's mother, was a drug addict who neglected her child. Knowing this, Lionel decided to give Amanda to Jack, a man with a kind heart who had tragically lost his own daughter to kidnappers. Jack admits he took Amanda to give her a better life and says it's now up to Patrick whether to call the police. Angie, seeing Amanda happy and well cared for, pleads with Patrick not to involve the authorities. However, Patrick feels it's the right thing to do and calls the police. The police arrive, arrest Jack Doyle, and take Amanda. She is eventually handed back to Helen. Lionel is also sent to jail for his role in the kidnapping. A few days later, Patrick and Angie have broken up due to their differences. Patrick visits Amanda, now back with Helen. He finds Helen getting ready for a date, showing that she hasn't changed her careless ways. Before leaving, Helen asks Patrick to babysit Amanda. In the final scene, Patrick and Amanda are sitting together watching TV. The film ends with lingering questions about Amanda's future. Did Patrick do the right thing by handing her over to Helen? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.